All right, my friends, here we are in game number 1 of this Discovery Cup number 3 match. And this will be starring, in our blue celestial, this will be Senti. And Senti's opponent in this, defeater of Algorithmor, is Butter, the red infernal. We shall see what Butter has in store. Butter had a pretty good macro play versus me, able to definitely out macro me and build enough units to just wipe me out with an A move in both my games. So we'll see if that macro play comes in this game. Although Senti also, probably if you've been on the Discord, you've seen Senti before. They are very supportive of some of these tournaments. Like myself, they like to dump in on the Matcherino. And I'd say go ahead and dump on the Matcherino for this particular tournament, but there is no Matcherino. So if you just have all that extra cash in your pocket and you don't know what to do with it, I suggest you jump it in the Matcherino for the Cluck of the Irish tournament on Monday. And if you haven't already, go sign up. Why not? It'll be fun. Senti so far up onto a second collection array with fully saturated on the first, plus a purifier going down. Remember, you get that free prism with that, and Celestials have definitely been taking advantage of that in this last couple patches. In fact, we might see another one here, yes. Now remember, the purifier is the drop-off point for your Ethereum, but it's also, like I said, produces that one prism for you very quickly. You get it for free. I mean, it's not technically for free, as you pay for the purifier, but you don't have to spend the build time on the prism, and I think that's one of the reasons why it is popular. So we've got Butter out here with first two Gons, first Brood. I do kind of like this build. You notice I wasn't doing it, but this makes your creeping not that bad. In fact, look how he's done a good job of spreading out that damage from the slimes onto his 3 different units. In fact, a effigy here would make that even better, although perhaps not necessary, as once you grab the healing camp, a lot of this damage that was taken is likely going to heal back up. Senti over here now is a creation chamber, another morph core doing a little dance, a little antsy dancy. Probably going to put down another chamber is my guess, but we've got Butter here continuing with the creeping. Good micro actually to keep those fiends from getting taken out. So Butter definitely showcasing some of his skills here. And there we go, taking those out. I thought we might get a casualty. And wow, whoa, so triple Legion Hall, sorry. Triple Legion Hall. So Senti had no plans for that creation chamber. This was going to be a Legion Hall play. And is this a full wall? I'm not sure. It kind of looks like it. Which means that it's going to be hard to break through this position. And with the Legion Hall here, I'm guessing Seraphim. We're still on tier 2. You need tier 3 to get up to the Archangels. And there we go, yeah, Seraphim. Now, Seraphim have become much more popular in the more recent patch, and to be honest, I don't know what's driven that. I'm not certain why the Celestial players find them to be a good solution now. Maybe they were buffed and I didn't notice it or something. But we're seeing a lot of Celestials go for Seraphim. And notice this isn't a Seraphim rush. This was a second base first. There was an older build from a few patches ago where you would proxy a Legion Hall in some trees somewhere, and you would use that to pump out some Seraphim and harass the Infernal. That's not what we're seeing here. This Seraphim's just using its ability, which is to, you know, take less damage from creeps, but also deal more damage to creep, if I remember correctly. So they're basically anti-creep units, and we saw that single Seraphim able to take out that whole health camp. And that's sort of how they've been used a little bit more recently, is doing some creeping until you get a nice critical mass. And with that critical mass, you can start harassing your opponent, maybe killing these Gaunts and stuff. We do see a Magmadon out. And yes, so Magmadon not as good against Seraphim, in case you're wondering. That's because, as I've pointed out in previous casts, Magmadons don't jump. So, Seraphim fly. Magmadons are good at smashing things with their big old face and stomping them with their feet. But they don't fly up to the air. They cannot do that. So, if only they had some nets that they could pull these Seraphim down to the ground, kind of like raiders from Warcraft. But they do not, alas, they do not. So, luckily for Butter, he does have Gaunt Tech. And he had done Gaunt Tech against me. That was certainly one of the reasons why he won versus me. And I think it's definitely going to help out versus the Seraphims. And now we're seeing the critical mass. I can't really count. Look at them all flocking with that new cluster collision mechanics that they put in the last path. Now they're going straight in. They're saying we're here for some imps. And I think when you get up to this level, you can see they're kind of one-shotting those imps. And that's bad news. Now the Therium imps are going down. Butter's able to get his Gaunts up here, but some of the Magmadons are not being helpful. They're getting in the way. That's the problem with Magmadons. They're a little bit... they're not exactly the smartest folks. That's because they got imps riding them, and imps, well, let's be frank. Imps are just marginally smarter than bobs. But the Seraphim do get... After that harass, they managed to get out without taking too many losses. A lot of them are low, but if they can get back to a healing camp or go find those healing rays of an arc ship, they'll be fine. And... Okay, so... Butter looks like he wants to bush down those trees. And these Seraphim still pretty low, by being joined by more and more. So Senti's building up a really large Seraphim force. At some point here, you often see a transition into Archangels. I've also seen this Seraphim build come with Vectors, but there's no Vectors out yet. It's just Seraphim. Individual Gaunt's not going to do a good job, but Shadow Flyers are. Ay. Oh, the Shadow Flyers pulled back. Now, that might be because just a couple Shadow Flyers on their own are not really going to be enough to take out the Seraphim. They could just fly home and maybe heal up. But if you can get... Ooh, here are the Vectors too. So we're starting to see that army comp of Vectors and Seraphim. The Gaunts are trying to come in here and get some work done. They are managing to kill some of the Seraphim. The Magmadons actually are not derping out. They're in the front line doing what they're supposed to do, which is smashing. We cut a couple tramples down. Vectors going down. A nice couple Sovereign's Watch actually are melting Gaunts here, and the Seraphim are now being able to push back. The Gaunts have to pull away from the Sovereign's Watch, and they're in full retreat actually. Butter's going to be pulling back. He's trying to preserve this army, but the Seraphim and Vectors are just speedier, and they're going to be able to chase it down. I think you need to turn and fight here. Yes, turn and fight. Trying to do a little bit of stutter step so he can maybe get back, but that's going to be GG out of Butter in the first game. Okay, here we are in the second game of this series in the Discovery Cup, and once again, this is going to be Butter in the Blue Infernal. His opponent in the red, playing the Celestial faction, is Senti. Winner of the first match. Now, Butter is, I believe, the selector of this map, and this is Ruination, not thought to be an Infernal favored map. In fact, it's considered to be a little bit weak for Infernal because there's no health camp, and Infernal being the only faction with no actual healing means that you feel like you're at a disadvantage on this map. There's no way to preserve your units in the same way you could in other maps. But it looks like Butter maybe likes it. Butter's headed in here with the Hexen, doing a little bit of harass on the Collection Ray. You know, this is incredibly useless because the Collection Ray is just going to heal itself back up. But this is probably just scouting smacks. Smacking you to let you know that I'm here. Now I'm going for your prisms. Force you to use a... Oh. Maybe use a Surge. Let's see. Let's see if Senti wastes the Surge. I mean, I don't think it's a waste. There you go. Surge up. Knows the rule. You can out-heal the DPS from a Hexen. We can sort of see that here. As the health of this... Oh, okay, maybe you just match the DPS of a Hexen. In any case, that Prism isn't going to die. Let's see what's Butter got going on at home. We've got a Vault and Conclave. And our first unit's out, so this is practice. We've seen Butter do this a few times in his matches so far. Getting those first units out and go for that health, or speed camp, sorry. Whereas Senti on that creation chamber on the 2 bases, but not yet made any units, and I think that's because we might be seeing a Legion Hall? No, it's a Starforge. The Starforge out. So that says to me Senti's probably doing a different build. We saw an unfortunate set of dashes there. Dash attacks from the Shadow Massives got that Hexen pretty low. They are troublesome creeps, those ones. Double Starforge from Senti. So it looks like we might be opening vectors this time. I assume vectors. Yes, vector coming out of the first one. And we're staying on tier 1 here. Nope, tier 2 is started up for Butter. And third base on the way as well. And even though placed next to the Therium here is rallied to Luminite. Come to steal the other speed camp, which I think is good strategies when you're playing Infernal. Your Celestial opponent is probably not going to have the units out as quick as you, and you can steal this from them for the time being. There is one vector out here. Are there more vectors on the way? Yes, we have more vectors on the way. We have an Ascension Matrix. It doesn't look like Recall Tech has started yet. And yeah, so Senti's still just staying at home, focused on the tech and the eco, putting down another Starforge there. While we watch Butter grab the center of the map here and go for his own tech. Extra Vault, extra Conclave. Ritual Chamber already up. He might have... No Plague Axes yet. I was going to say he was quite quick on the Plague Axes in my game. So I imagine that's going to be on the way very quickly. And a Health Forge also being built, which means there will be some upgrades. Probably, I'm going to guess Demon Hoof Tremors to start out. And yeah, let's see. Do we got Plague Axes started yet? No, we do not. But this Luminite camp is going to get taken out here. Magmadon doing the tanking here, which is useful. You can see right here that the white health regeneration is again out DPSing these 2 creeps. Not when the Bruiser was punching, but after the Bruiser was taken out it wasn't. So that's just because the Magmadons are nice and tanky. They got lots of hit points, and then your healing is based on your total hit point total. So at tier 2 you're getting 4% per second, and that's more than the damage that these units were able to put out. No FD drop this time, so no healing on the mag. But we can see how tanky he is, just able to take all that damage. He's pretty low now. Might want to go find a cabbage or let him soak in the healing juices. As I mentioned, there are no healing juices in this map, so out of luck for that bad boy. Ton of vectors coming down. They're not great toe-to-toe, but they can harass this army pretty well. They can sort of focus some gaunts and then run away as the melee units get close. And yeah. So Butter decides I'm going to want to pull back. Drops an FG on the high ground to try and get some advantage there, but we see that low mag get taken out. And now it's just Brutes and Gaunts. And Brutes and Gaunts are going to be harassed all day by vectors. Oh, wow. One of those vectors died to an infest. Fiend popped out and got immediately mutilated. Here comes another mag with his imp rider. The imps riding the Magmadons are extra cool. I don't know if you've noticed, but they got these like little mohawks on them. I think that's why they ride the Magmadons, is their imp friends are like, you're so cool looking, we can't possibly be mining next to you without being distracted by how cool you are. And they're like, you're right, we're just gonna go hop on top of this Magmadon and ride it around like we're badasses. And that's just the life of a cool Mohawk imp. So now you know. That's in-depth infernal lore for you. Lots of vectors here. Still staying on vector tech for Senti. It's been helpful to start out, but I wonder if there's going to be a transition into Seraphim or Archangels. Oh, one mag trying to get that trample off, but those vectors do not want to get caught in that AoE. The poor the poor Megalodon's just walking forward like, if I get close enough to you, why I oughta. I'll take you out, but no, the vector. Ooh, huge delta jump, but then recall. They didn't want to get actually caught in all that DPS there. Another vector getting caught on a bad rally, gets taken out. And now we see Seraphim being added as well. And this is, I don't know if you want to attack into this kiting, because as you can see here, the vectors are able to really just melt those brutes on the front line. And once the brutes are gone, it's going to be the gaunts that can be picked off really quickly by these vectors. So Butter2 also uncertain if he really wants to push into this. The gaunts, of course, able to get some damage done, which is good. It means some of these units are dying while kiting. The Megs get angry and say, I'm going to trample, trample, trample. But they get taken out. More gaunts and another Meg show up. That Meg's going to have a fresh trample, so yeah, it uses its trample. Tries to get a Nightfall Infest, but unfortunately misses. And this does not look good. You don't want to back yourself into a corner here. That's going to make it really hard. Now, lots of low vectors here. If that Hellborn maybe can get some damage done. There are 2 Hellborn now, but now these units all just jumping right on top, trying to focus fire down, but there's lots of gaunts here, and the gaunts are actually doing enough damage. Magma Megalodon got a pretty good trample in there, but then gets taken out, and all the vectors of Seraphim retreat. Whoa, whoa, yo, okay. Poor Senti, misclick there, attack their own Starforge, and that's, definitely don't want that. Ooh, more Hellborn coming. I think the Hellborn might be a nice add, because with that kiting, you want ranged units, and the one thing the Hellborn have is this really long range. And with some gaunts in the front, also ranged units, this could help out. I think the Mags are mostly for tank, because they haven't really connected much so far. And they're camped out here. Well, it looks like Senti's going for this speed camp, and that might be a little bit of a loop around and catch Butter a little bit out of position. Oh, he's going to use the abuse from the high ground. Take out this camp first. Look how fast they melted that. That's with the Seraphim with their extra abilities. Some of those vectors, where are you going, buddies? The Seraphim just fly in. I thought the vectors might do a delta jump down. But wait a second. Butter's saying, fine. You're in my base, I'm in your base. I'm going to be taking it out. I'm too slow. And I think Senti says, fine, if you're going to race me, if we're going to race the bases. Oh, nice Shadow Flyers. Impacted initially. Oh. But then they get taken out. That's because their lock-on range was greatly reduced. So they looked like they were close enough to lock on, but they were not. A bunch of units pop out of this vault. And the Magmadon managed to get some trampled on. A couple other Magmadons showing up. They get their trampled too, so some vectors going down to this. But fairly good micro too from Senti to try and preserve them as much as possible. A few Hellborn here, that's not what you want to see. They're basically free. Another Mag here. Also going to be free, gets a little bit of trample damage done. But this army from Butter is slowly making its way back. And I think Senti is in a good position with this sort of run around, come in the back door, and snipe a couple bases. And then he's just going to, we're out of here. Those vectors really don't know where they're trying to go. And the Hellborn decide, let's get creeping. The Bruiser's right on top of them. The Mags in the back need to push through. But now Senti's here as well. Lots of Megs here, so that makes it hard for the vectors to really just push into them. Another Nightfall gets missed. Lots of vectors going down here, actually. There is an Archangel that can help here, but I don't know if it might be a little too late. Because this army now is looking pretty dangerous, and look how Senti's trying to lead Butter away. But Butter is not distracted. It says, I want to go. I'm going straight for the kill. Notice, though, Senti does have this base, secret base down here. And, yeah, this is a delay. Senti's moving out. I think Senti's going to try and see if he can get Butter to come back and fight. But here we are. Archangels, Meteor Strikes. They do not have the Scorched Earth upgrade yet. That would have been super helpful here, but now they're just punching Hellborn. Take that. Magmadon's plowing through, getting some really nice tramples, but a lot of them are really low. It looks like the Archangels are going to win out in this fight. The Magmadon's going down, and that's it. Butter loses his army here, and that's going to be GG in game number 2 from Butter.